One of the spectacular things about the Okanagan Valley is the number of golf courses and beautiful areas that we have to play the game of golf. And what I'm going to talk to you today about is the things you can do to make it safe to golf, make sure you don't get any overuse injuries, and also how to warm up so that you're ready to play right away, as well as making sure that you don't hurt yourself playing the game. The first thing we want to talk about is equipment. It's really important to make sure you get the advice of a golf pro and you get good equipment. Simple little things like the grips on your clubs. If the grips are old and worn, what happens is you are entitled or not entitled, but you're more likely to hang on to that grip harder, which what that does is it ends up making you use your wrist flexors and your wrist extensors way more and sets you up for tendon issues and overuse problems. Because as I'm swinging, I'm holding onto the club to make sure I don't throw my club way over there, and you end up irritating those muscles in your arm. It can be called tennis elbow, golfer's elbow, depending on which muscles you damage. So it's very simple. See your golf pro. You get these changed about once a year. You want to make sure there's good grip to them. The other thing is there's multiple sizes to these. So if you're holding onto the club and it doesn't fit your hand properly, that can create problems as well. The neat thing about it is you can actually get oversized grips. So if you have arthritis in your hand, you can actually golf with a larger grip and still be able to play the game. Second thing has to do with the shaft of the golf club. Unless you are a competitive elite level golfer, you really don't need to use steel shafted clubs anymore. The reason they invented graphite is it's better performing, but also it creates less vibration if you happen to hit the ground, which then doesn't transfer that up to your arms and damage your arms or your wrists in any manner. So as you swing, if you actually happen to hit the ground a little bit hard, what happens is those vibrations get dissipated through the shaft of the club. The third thing, which is amazing to me, but we see this every year in the clinic at least once or twice, is making sure that your golf shoes are good. Good shoes, good arch support, but also more importantly, something that's totally preventable is making sure that the cleats on your golf shoe are all intact. What happens is if one of these happens to fall out, now you end up with an unstable surface that you're walking on, and the tendons in your foot get overused and start to get painful. So a simple thing like making sure when you take them out of the car and go to put them on your feet, you check to make sure all the cleats are good and they're tight. That way then you don't end up with an injury that ends up getting you in the clinic to have to get care, but also it'll end up taking you out of the game of golf for a few weeks. Finally, and probably the most important thing, is to make sure that you're ready to play the game of golf. So many times I'll see people that come out on a golf course, they unpack their clubs and they run out of their car and they go up to the first tee and they hit their first shot. Two problems with that. First is you're not going to be ready for the first hole and your performance is not going to be very, very good. The second thing is that because you're not warmed up and you haven't taken those joints to full range, you end up in a situation where you can damage something. So I'm going to go through some simple exercise to warm up for the game of golf. So one of the things about golf is you have to actually take your spine through a fair amount of range of motion. And if you notice as I turn, you'll see my back rotate one way and rotate the other way, and actually have to extend quite a bit to do a proper golf swing. So as you come up to the golf course, what you want to do is make sure that your spine has been stretched, not slowly and long hold stretching, because that doesn't really prove to be successful anymore. What you want to do is make sure those joints have been taken into their full range of motion before you get onto the first tee. So simple exercise, there's two exercises I'm going to show you really quickly. First one is lying on your stomach, and sometimes you may want to do these in your living room before you actually get to the course. What you do is start on your stomach, push and arch your back up, and keep your hips down and relax the muscle in your back. From that position, come up right into a position where you take your heels down to your bum, and then come back down and arch your back. And you just want to do that about 10 times. What we're doing is taking your back from a fully flexed position to a fully extended position. I'm lucky today, the grass is nice and dry, we can get away with doing this on the ground, but what you can do, like I said, is make sure you do it in the living room. Second thing is, your spine is involved in a lot of rotation in golf, especially your low back. So we want to do an exercise where you're lying on your back, one leg straight, this leg up, grab it with your opposite hand. What you want to do is bring that knee across as far as you can, and you should feel a stretch through your glute muscles here and through your back. Hold it for a couple seconds, change legs, bring this one over, take it over that way. So you can see how I'm working on low back rotation. Turning my back one way and turning it the other way. Keep this shoulder down. Okay, so if you mimic that to a golf swing, if we look at the golf swing now, what happens is, as with rotation, now I'm rotating my back one way, rotating the other way, but I've worked on an exercise that gets me ready to be able to do that before I actually get to the course. One of the things that we often forget about golf is the neck. We always talk about the legs and the low back and the upper back and the arms, but we forget about the motion of the neck in the golf swing, and yet a lot of people will actually irritate their neck problems with golfing. And there's a simple thing to do to make sure that you're ready to do the golf swing. If you look at a golf swing, as I come back into my backswing, I'm actually turning my neck all the way one way and my mid-back all the way the other. Now, as I come through to the other position, I'm in exactly the opposite rotation and neck rotation. So there's a simple exercise you can do. You can do this every day at home if you want. What you do is, standing up straight, take your mid-back and turn one direction as far as you can, and turn your head back the other way. What you can do is just put a little pressure on with your fingers to turn your neck, and that's going to give it a little bit of stretch. And what you do is go the other direction, take your hand and just put a little bit of pressure to take it and give it a stretch. You don't want to be aggressive with this one, just a short little stretch, maybe 5 seconds at a time, and don't push hard because you can actually damage the joints of your neck. But what you want to do is make sure that your neck is ready so that as you're doing a golf swing, you've already taken it into this range and this range. That way then you can always keep head down as you do the swing, and your neck's actually capable of making that motion. So believe it or not, one of the more dangerous spots on a golf course is actually the parking lot. We've had a lot of people injure their backs putting clubs into and out of the trunk. What you have to do is make sure that you're careful with your biomechanics. The bag of golf clubs weighs 40 to 50 pounds lots of times. What you need to do is make sure that you don't end up in a position where you're bent and rotated. What you want to do is make sure you're facing the trunk and lift things up, turn around, move your feet, and put the clubs down. You want to make sure, otherwise you have the potential to injure a disc in your back, and that can put you out of the game for 3 or 4 weeks. So always be careful of your mechanics, make sure that you're doing things step at a time, and then don't rush from the car to the game. Make sure you have a little bit of time to warm up. Always perform at your best by taking care of your health and fitness. Your body's worth it.